The atmospheric conditions before the flood are much different than today. The conditions then allowed for giant growth. We know that God put many restrictions on Earth after the flood event. What we now call the laws of physics were much different. The Bible tells us that He restricted man even more at the Tower of Babel episode. The giants and dinosaurs could not exist in our modern conditions as they did in the antediluvian period. I believe God altered the atmosphere with these ideas in mind. Listen to what these scientists have to say.
Optimal genetic expression means the best that the organism has within the DNA is expressed because of favorable atmospheric conditions. Under these described conditions, plants and animals would live longer, be much larger, and that's precisely what we find in the geologic column in the fossil record. Plants were much larger. All living systems were larger. We have animals that today have an 8 or 9 foot stature with a 16 to 20 foot stature. We have insects such as everything was larger in the past.
I'm of the opinion that under better atmospheric conditions, people were living not only longer, but they were taller, much taller.
Giants and dinosaurs could not exist today as they did in the past because the atmospheric conditions simply will not permit. Being interested in Earth's original conditions, after 35 years of research on those parameters, I've attempted to reconstruct that context. And in so doing, I've had our engineers build a biosphere that doubles the atmospheric pressure, that increases the electromagnetic energy, that increases the ratio of oxygen, but not to the level of toxicity, that eliminates ultraviolet radiation, etc. And the experiments that we've run have been very gratifying. In our controlled scientific experiment, we have measured the effects of a pulsed electromagnetic field on biological systems. We have these Pacu piranha fish that normally at 3.5 years of age are about this size under optimal conditions. Yet we have them now in excess of 20 inches, weighing just under 5 pounds each. Under these controlled conditions, we have succeeded in producing giantism at an accelerated rate.
There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown.
Genesis tells us that even after the flood there were giants in those days. Somehow some giants, at least one, maybe more, survived the flood and again populated the earth in small numbers. With the altered atmospheric conditions their growth was restricted. In the book of Joshua chapter 10 verse 4, we are told that Og was the remnant of the giants. The book of Joshua tells of a tribe of giants.
For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 11, in other words, Og was over 13 feet tall.
In Lebanon, 44 miles from Beirut are the imposing ruins of Baalbek. There is mention of this place in the Old Testament, the Book of Kings. According to Arab tradition, the earliest temples here were created after the flood by a tribe of giants for the biblical king Nimrod.
Baalbek in particular is a very good example. That has the trilithon. Those are the largest stones in the world ever used for construction. They're so large we don't even know their actual weight. Those stones were somehow quarried, moved 5 miles, lifted 25-30 feet in the air, and placed together so closely that you can't fit a razor blade or a piece of paper in between them. We have no idea how they did it. We don't have a crane in the world that can lift weights anywhere near what those things are.